Their favorite pastime was gaming. Their favorite pastime was gaming. With the latest internet-enabled VR headset she had saved up for months to buy, Lily felt like she had summoned a portal to another world. That Friday night, the air was charged with excitement as they settled down in her dimly lit basement. The walls, plastered with posters of fantastical worlds, seemed to close in around them, enhancing their sense of adventure. Lily adjusted her new VR headset, each click making her pulse quicken. "Let's try this new horror survival game," Jake exclaimed, grabbing the second headset. "I heard it's supposed to be terrifying." Quote, they all nodded, allowing their imaginations to get swept up in the thrill of the night. As they donned their headsets, they found themselves inside the dense forest of a haunted village lost in time, flickering lights illuminating gnarled trees whispering secrets. At first, the game was an exhilarating rush. The graphics were lifelike, shadows danced just out of sight, and eerie background sounds toyed with their nerves. They could hear each other, their laughter mingling with frantic screams as they fought apparitions and solved puzzles to escape the village. But soon, the game took a darker turn. As the clock struck midnight, the atmosphere morphed. A sharp chill swept through the basement, and the friends suddenly felt an unsettling sensation creeping at the back of their necks. "I swear, this is different," Emma whispered, her voice trembling as she glanced around the dimly lit room. It was as if the veil between the game and reality had begun to thin. The dirt-covered path in their game now bore too much resemblance to the garish wallpaper around them, every shadow in the game mimicking something lurking behind them. "Just the game messing with our heads," Jake said, but his voice faltered. As the friends huddled closer, they seemed to forget that they weren't merely players anymore. Then, without warning, the screen flickered violently, blinking an ominous red message. Asterisk. "They're watching, asterisk." "What the hell?" Max blurted out, pulling off his headset. The sensation felt all too real, but no one else dared to follow suit. The game continued, engulfing them deeper into its labyrinth. Images of the outside world began to morph, becoming dark, twisted versions of their town. Places they recognized were warped into their haunted counterparts. The park turned into a graveyard draped with shadows, and Lily's own house appeared on the edge of a cliff, teetering beneath an ominous sky. Lily felt a panic rise within her as her pulse raced uncontrollably. "Guys, I think," a guttural scream pierced through the headset. Unlike any sound they had made, it reverberated in their bones, freezing them. They looked at each other in wide-eyed horror. "Lily, did you hear that?" Emma gasped, her fingers trembling on the console. Suddenly, the VR headset began to glitch. Frantic words spilled over the screen, mixing with haunting visuals. The characters in the game morphed into grotesque versions of themselves, twisted and desolate, eyes hollow and hungry for something more than a virtual existence. "Guys, Lily gasped, but the words caught in her throat as the ghostly figures slid closer to her avatar, their hollow eyes boring into her very soul. "This isn't just a game anymore." With immense effort, she yanked off her headset, tossing it aside. The basement was chillier, and an oppressive heaviness filled the air, growing more pronounced by the second. But her friends were still entranced, snared within the game's web. "No, you have to come back," she shouted, grabbing Jake's shoulders, but he stood far too still, locked in a trance. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest as panic seized her. "Max, Emma, you have to break free," she cried out, feeling isolation claw at her. Jake suddenly turned his head, his once bright eyes now glassy voids, staring at her blankly. "Help us," he spit out, though it didn't sound like Jake anymore. His voice was something deeper, more sinister. "Help us escape, forever?" Lily stumbled backward as the shadows began ooze from the VR headset, swirling violently towards her. A horrifying cacophony filled the room, echoing of all the terror they had played through together, morphing into a hellish symphony of despair. In a burst of adrenaline, she snatched the second headset off Emma's head, yanking it away just as the apparitions from the game crept ever closer, their features bleeding into reality. Emma jolted and blinked, confusion momentarily clouding her face. "What's happening?" she gasped, but Lily didn't have time to answer. Instead, she wrestled with their modded game console, scrambling to shut it off as dark images crawled over her friends' faces with every passing second. A loud crash echoed, shaking walls and gadgets, and the moment her finger hit the power button, the room plunged into darkness, echoing a final heart-wrenching shriek from the abyss beyond. When the lights flickered back to life moments later, the basement sat empty, the once vibrant atmosphere now cold and echoing, as if something heavy had passed through. The couch lay forsaken, with the headsets lying lifeless and dim, the pathways to the haunted village severed. Lily collapsed, the void of solitude wrapping around her, her heart racing. She glanced at the game console. The screens lit up ominously, a fading message flickering as if in farewell. Asterisk. How long until we meet again? Asterisk. The horror that had seeped into their lives now lay dormant, but all she could feel was the lingering dread of what they had awakened. Something long buried had stirred, waiting for another chance to claim its victims. Though she had escaped, the scent of pixelated terror still haunted her nights, flickering in her dreams like those pixelated ghosts, eternally imprisoned but forever watching, waiting.